Hey everybody, it's design time with James and Kory.
Hey everybody. I want to start like usual. I want to start with what I played this week.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, one that I missed last week that I had forgotten about was Deadlight. It's an
Ah,
XBLA game, and it's a side-scrolling zombie thriller.
hmm,
Yeah, uh, and I don't. I think it's worth a try. It reminded me. It just slightly reminded me of Limbo.
okay, I
But
like
I,
that.
but yeah, but you won't like this game.
Okay, yeah, I'll try it. That sounds
But
great.
maybe, yeah, look at it. It's way less puzzly than
Yeah,
Limbo and more
okay.
fighty. It's but
Mm,
it's there's something there. There's something really strange there. So you
okay,
know how Limbo is all silhouetted,
yeah,
right? And so it looks. There's nothing unnatural about the way the side it behaves as a side scroller. You're expecting it to behave as a side scroller
yeah.
because of the way it looks. Does that make sense?
You're
Of
expecting
course.
Limbo to do this, you're saying?
Yes.
Yes.
And instead, in Deadlight, they did this with like a 3D rendered environment
Oh
through
wait,
which you
it,
travel in two
this.
dimensions.
Wow, this is embarrassing. No, I've played this game. I finished this game. I know exactly what you're talking
You
about.
finished it?
Yeah.
You finished
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, I don't
Wow.
like it very much.
I was just I didn't think you would. But so
But
what do you make of that decision to
that
take
that
like a 3D
specifically,
rendered environment and only allow the player to
I mean, I've seen it in other games. So Trine does that, uh, right?
So for some reason I didn't feel it as much in Trine, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Um, I there's a game I liked a lot more. It was actually one of the highest rated Shadow Complex on
I don't
XBLA.
know Shadow Complex.
Yeah, yeah, I
Hmm.
liked that quite a bit. And for a while there, it seemed like one of the highest rated game on arcade or something like that. Um, it has it's that structure I was talking about, that Metroidvania kind of structure. So it's kind of
Okay.
it's like a there's some weirdness. It took me a little while to get used to it, but because you aim, it's like a dual. I mean, yeah, I guess you would call it like a dual stick shooter. Like you use one thumbstick to aim, but it's 2D, but you're
Hmm.
aiming sometimes into the background. There can be like enemies way back on like a parallax level, and see you're still aiming just radially around you, but it automatically it's pretty weird actually. Uh,
This seems strange, but
yep. So it took some getting used to. I guess in general, I would say I don't have a problem with the 3D look, the 3D engine for a 2D side scroller.
well, what was weird about it for me was that it wasn't always clear to me what I was able to stand on or something, if you know what I'm
That
saying.
totally, yeah, that
So
totally
like,
happened.
yeah,
I think I
it's like
remembered. I
if
think
I'm
there was,
running,
yeah, yep, yep. I got
you
stuck.
might
I
be
think.
running forward, and there's like a little hill there, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that my character was going to go up over this bump.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
I think there was one particular place in a building where I really got stuck. The only place in the game where I really got stuck was because I was confused about what I could stand on, or whether a thing was really a hole in the ceiling, or what was good. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
confusing. Like
So I thought it was
overall,
kind of
I felt it's just seemed meaty. I don't want to thrash somebody's game. It was relatively indie, I
uh,
think, and stuff, but it didn't do that much for me. I mean, it's in a genre. Yeah, it's kind of limbo-like. So I put them into the genre of um, Out of This World, or Another World is what it was called. Old polygon-based game. One called Heart of Darkness that probably not many people have heard of, and Flashback. So yeah, there's this sort of this genre line that traces back, and it has these particular characters, side scroller, kind of creepy, kind of puzzly. It's somewhat cinematic. There, it's a lot of time, and there's like set pieces often, right? Like a lot of so the different sections are very unique, sort of designed, right? Like Limbo has that quality. Yeah, it goes back at least to Out of This World, which was like 90s, if not even late 80s. I don't remember. But
so in general, would you say that's a genre, if we can call it, that you enjoy?
I like it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean there haven't been that many examples. So yeah, I liked Out of This World a lot, and I liked Heart of Darkness a lot. There was cutscenes, there's story elements that I hated with Heart of Darkness. Really cheesy, like pseudo Spielbergian. You're like this kid with a skateboard that got sent to this alternate planet and stuff, and it's really goofy.
So for some reason, it reminds me of this old game that I never played, but I was always interested in. Old game, 80s, yeah. I think. Below the Root, I think it was called.
Oh yeah, I was always interested in that game, and I never played it.
Because it's this side-scrolling thing that seems cinematic in a way. That one was actually based on a book, if I remember right.
Yeah, and so you never have played it?
I have not. Isla actually raves about it. She loved
Isla played it?
Yeah, she did back in the day.
Back in the day, wow.
Yeah, that's on like crazy. An Apple II or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a game that I'm crazy enough that I might go back and play that someday. Try it.
Yeah. Try it out on an emulator or something.
Yeah, on an emulator. I don't know if it'll hold up enough. Some games just don't. Yeah, I think I will try it someday.
I would be interested to hear about that.
Okay. What else? What else did you play?
Like I mentioned last week, Fez was on sale for $4.
Yeah.
So I bought Fez. I've been playing some Fez, and I still don't absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It's still, part of it is it feels a little bit inconsistent in the way it applies some of its elements.
Okay.
Like when you're crawling up moss or whatever that is, you can actually turn sideways, right? And so that's the only time I think you're actually turned sideways. It's a little bit weird.
Actually, that's now I don't even remember what happens when you turn again. To put yourself on essentially the back level, what does it do?
I don't think you can.
It doesn't.
So you're either flat.
You're
either flat on this wall, or you turn around and you're on the side. Maybe you can see that.
And if you
turn around and you're hanging on the side, and you keep trying to go that way, you can't.
That's weird.
It's just like when you reach the edge, your character wraps and is no longer. I mean, I guess they're presumably still 2D because Gomez is 2D, right? But
can you get into?
And I don't love.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you get into? Well, I was going to say, I also don't.
Can you get into that position without rotating? Is what I'm asking. Can you just crawl along Ivy and then flip to the side just by crawling, or do you have to rotate?
Yes. No. Without rotating the camera. No, without rotating the camera, you'll just be crawling along like this, and then you'll get to the edge, and your character will look like this.
Okay.
Then you can rotate, and you're flat again.
Okay.
So, I don't know, some things like that, but also just the standard kind of platformer, like the slidey. When you jump after you land, you slide a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is just I think is just considered good platformer movement design or something.
Yeah.
But for me, not really being a platformer, it's a little bit frustrating in spots. But it doesn't punish you for sucking at being a platformer, so. Yeah. So that's totally. I'm okay with it. So yeah, I'm playing that. And yeah, I also mentioned last week I was doing some just very early HTML5 Canvas stuff with JavaScript, and so I made a rudimentary, just the very most basic playable version of Bunny Kiss. And,
awesome. And what did you learn?
What did I learn?
Is it more or less fun than you expected?
The game or development?
The game. I don't want to talk about development. at all.
Okay, at
Awful.
all. Actually, JavaScript is more awful than
Yes, it is.
most because
Yep.
it's not strongly typed. It's got
Yep.
some weird scoping going on, and
I said I don't want to talk about this, James.
so I didn't enforce all of the rules in Bunny Kiss yet, but
Oh, okay.
Chris and I
Can
sat
you?
and Chris and
Can
I
you?
sat and played a puzzle that turned out to be really challenging. So it
Mm,
doesn't design the
yeah,
level
of
at all. It
course. That's
morphs out random numbers, right?
that's what you want to do to start. It's
To
way
start,
easier.
yeah. And
Yep.
actually, we were having fun
Okay.
solving this puzzle. And he goes, and he said, "Put it up on the site so I can get to it." So he wanted to play it.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, it's like my hello world for HTML5
Yeah. Yeah.
canvas.
Yeah. Yeah. We should.
It's my bunny.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth talking again about whether you should turn that into a thing that you release. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the next thing I'm going to do is prototype the what I expect to become the base puzzle, the base combat puzzle for the RPG.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and remember that's about looking for cascades of this type of
Yeah.
move. And all I have to do, we figured out to make this just like a standalone experience, is to require that for a move to be legal, it has to cascade. Which I don't want to be the case for when it's in the RPG, but you'll understand once you get a chance to play it. So
Okay.
that's next. That's next
Awesome.
on my development schedule.
That's great. That's
Just for
great.
anybody that's just getting into it, the library I'm using is Kinetic.js, and then I plan to use Cocoon.js to do the wrappers for iOS and Android.
For
Sure.
what? For the entire project? This is already your. For what?
For anything that I do in HTML5. So I don't know what the performance is going to be like
Yeah. Okay.
as the whole thing builds and builds and builds, right? Um, I've
Eh,
I've looked at some performance tests for just things that are similar,
Yeah.
just like a puzzle game, which I know we
Yeah.
hate calling it that, but
No. No.
this
Yeah.
style of
Sure.
game. They run at 60 frames a second on
Yeah.
all the devices and stuff. I mean, I think it's performant enough for this style of game. But you don't want to talk about any of that. So
No.
tell me what you.
Okay. Now I do. Now, just really quick. I don't want to talk about. Just don't say the words weakly typed again. That just made shivers run down my spine.
I know
Um,
it makes you feel queasy.
Yep. But no. But I will. I mean, for my wonderful Patreon patrons out there, I have been developing slowly but surely, learning Unity. So I'm in my own hell. But no.
Yeah.
But just to really quickly, so this HTML5 is just a choice. You're not learning this for work. I thought you were like this is actually just to keep for as a prototyping tool and maybe for development of the whole puzzle RPG game or whatever. Like, what was your purpose in picking it up?
Yeah. So I'm interested in being able to deploy to multiple platforms.
Yep.
Right. And I looked at Unity, and for the style of games that I want to do, sort of 2D, puzzle-ish games.
Yeah.
As you know, you basically have to fake. You have to shut off a bunch of Unity stuff or ignore a bunch of Unity stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Unity is built for 3D rendering and light sources and all that kind of stuff, which I know nothing about, honestly.
Sure.
So of course you can use a library that sort of flattens everything out, right?
Yeah.
But it's really not what it was designed for, and I sort of hated Unity.
Sure.
So
That's
JavaScript
any sane person should, but yep.
should hate Unity.
Right. Well, yeah, as
So
well as
JavaScript
JavaScript. So I know.
is
Yeah.
It's a different type of hate, though. So in
Okay. Yeah.
JavaScript, the immediacy of JavaScript is actually pretty fun. I'm
Yeah.
using NetBeans, and when I make a change, before I can even flip over to the browser, it's already there. The change
Yeah.
is
Okay.
already there. So because it's obviously it's a scripting language, it's not compiled or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just did some research and found that we can wrapper using something like Cocoon.js. The other popular one is PhoneGap, but we can wrapper things
Yeah.
for iOS and for Android, and Cocoon.js does the controller stuff. So Ouya is no
Got it.
problem,
Got it.
and I'd like to be able to deploy all those. Yeah. So
Okay. But I
once
mean,
I'm proficient at it, I might
yeah. I asked.
go back and do like word surgeon, for example,
Oh, right.
so that
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
deploy that out to the other
Yeah.
platforms.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's
Why not?
absolutely. I mean, for both of us, it's time to not be writing native iOS. We shouldn't be doing that anymore, I don't think. And yeah, I ask all this because HTML5 is obviously an alternate choice. I mean, that's way at the top of my list of stuff that I was looking at and deciding. I mean, I could totally do Paradigm in HTML5, and
Yep,
so far,
absolutely.
I just made the choice to start delving into Unity. Yeah, I don't know what's the right choice, so we can keep talking about that.
Any particular reason why? And that's boring stuff.
Yeah,
So tell me what you played this week.
I played 2 games. I played Trials, the newest game, Trials Fusion. It's called a game that I wasn't able to afford to buy, but I bought it anyway. So I had to do some unsavory things to earn an extra $20. And then
should I send you some knee pads?
Yeah. Yep. I got. They'll go on. I'll put them on the
so
couch.
That's your earning equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll put them back on the couch on the next episode, or they'll be in the wash.
Yes.
I don't have much to say about it. Do you know what this is? Trials Evolution, Trials HD, I think was the first.
Trials in general, yeah. I've never played any of them, even the demo.
It's a form of racing game, I suppose. Like you could say, I put it in. I play them for the same reason as I play these driving games, which is that they're extremely they're arcade games, physical games. Some of the best action games I've ever played, and for me, it's all about flow, and you can get it. There's an extreme. You can get way better than you were at first. Like I'm continually still getting better at the game, and it's an amazing feeling being somewhat good at the game. Yeah, it's just like the controls are. It's so simple. It's just like you're leaning and accelerating and braking, and it's amazing what you can do with just that amount of stuff, on a bunch of different tracks. So I like it. And then the other game I played was Hearthstone. Finally,
So yeah, I just read about that. So should I try it? Hearthstone?
I think you should, because it's free. It's Blizzard, and maybe not though, because you don't have an iPad that'll play it, so you're gonna have to use a mouse and a keyboard and a computer to play it.
No.
So no, I don't think you should. I think you should buy it. Yeah, so it's a deck building game. I mean, it's Magic the Gathering is the one of the sources of it. It's way simple. So I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm interested in it. I mean, I would say I like it at this point. Did you ever look at SoulForge?
No.
Okay. It's like
I don't.
simple.
I'm not into deck building card games where each card has its own.
I mean, I haven't been. Yeah, I haven't been either. But I mean, this is the most distilled version of it that I've seen so far. So, that makes me interested to see what they can do. It probably is. This is a whole complex topic. Like, it probably is. Maybe it's too simple. I think there are a lot of like Magic the Gathering fans who claim that it's not nearly as deep or whatever. Like. But I'm just never going to get into Magic the Gathering because of the
Yeah,
ugliness.
because of the overhead. Yeah.
Yep. It's almost aesthetic, really. I find the game ugly. I find that amount of complexity ugly, so ugly that I just can't stomach playing it, even if it is deep.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about tonight.
Okay.
I want to talk about. So you've got this aesthetic notion of game design itself, right?
Sure.
Of games, but also game design.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to know about this is, do you hope or want or demand that other designers feel the same way you do about game design? So maybe I need to ask you first, what do you feel about game design? You've touched on some of these things in like your blog post.
Yeah, sure.
But you, so tell me what you try to achieve through game design, and then tell me whether you are hoping that other designers will also, or wishing they would, or expecting them to.
Right. Well, there's another interesting issue that, and you can add to that list maybe. Sometimes when I talk about these things, what I think I'm saying is that to other designers, I'm saying whether you like it or not, there are some standards, some objective standards of goodness and badness about games, and if you ignore some of these, what I find, some of these design principles that I would accept, you're probably going to fail at the thing you claim you want to do. That's one of the things that's behind the way I talk about it. Like, I think it's a somewhat objective thing. Like, and I admit that that's relatively black and white. So sometimes you do that. I do that for simplicity's sake, right? Like, I'm writing an essay or something, and I tend to make things a little bit more black and white than maybe they are in real life because I'm trying to crystallize something. But I would add that to. So the other thing, I hope. Right, because also on the other hand, I do think, and I was thinking about this recently. I mean, there's obviously an irreducible aesthetic component to my my design style, right? That I don't believe that that's objective. So I wouldn't push that onto other designers, right? Okay. Like I wouldn't say that other designers are incorrect for not sharing my aesthetics, my aesthetic tastes, and I wouldn't necessarily, I would say that like kind of everybody is, like of course I always wish that more people would design games that are perfect for me, right?
Okay, but let me stop you there for a second. Are you saying that your aesthetic as a designer matches your aesthetic as a player?
I think so. I guess I mean that's my knee-jerk answer is they're the same. Is that do you think that's different? Well, I guess I have said what I play is wider than I would like to design, I guess. Yep.
Right.
Well, but maybe okay. I mean So it's kind of like, say if we have this like 4-star rating system, right? I hated it, didn't like it, liked it, loved it. Is that like the 4-star Netflix
That's
rating?
fine.
Yeah, like so there's
Is
all
Netflix,
sorts.
maybe Netflix 5 stars, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know. So maybe, I mean, what I'm thinking, I mean, in general, I have a lot. It's like I will play hundreds or thousands of games in the rest of my life, but I'm not going to design hundreds and thousands of games. So I'm more picky, right? So there are tons of
Okay.
games that I just like, but I don't love. And if I'm only going to design 10 more games in my life, I'm going to shoot for the 4-star ones, right? So my tastes as a player are just wider. And if there were so many games that were 4-star games for me, then I would exclusively look for the ones that are right. I would just do nothing but play those games that are like totally to my taste. Well, I would still try the other ones because I'm trying. It's nice to get other grist for the mill and see what look at other people's angle. And I don't totally know what I'm gonna like, right? Maybe I'll learn. Like I could play a game like Hearthstone and say, oh, this is maybe a positive experience I've had with deck building games, and maybe now I like deck building a little bit more. Maybe that'll open up or it'll give me a more nuanced view or something. Does that answer your question, or do you see more problems here?
Not at all. So,
Okay.
no, it's touching on it, but it's just so many things come to mind. I don't know if I
Okay.
can keep them all in my brain at the same time.
Okay.
So you had a conversation with Daniel,
Yeah.
and he was saying he's not trying to just design 10 games in the rest of his life. He's
Yeah.
going to design another 200 or 300 games in the rest of his life if he keeps to his right.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why he doesn't have to be as picky, although he's satisfied. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but this is what I took away from it. He's satisfied with his designs. He's happy with them. So why do you what you're telling me seems a little bit circular.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You're saying, oh, if I think I'm only going to design 10 more games in my life, so I have to really focus on the super great ones. But it's this really focusing on the super great ones is the reason you're only going to pinch off another 10 games in your life. So
Yeah,
I don't know that you have to resolve that, but it still feels like it's just some kind of a preference.
Yeah. I might just agree with that. I might just.
I mean, if no response is immediate.
Well, yeah. Well, so there's a thing that immediately comes to mind was. Not to I don't want to just necessarily rehash, but let's talk about it with you. One of my points about Daniel's thing was that I'm skeptical. This goes back to this thing about like how do you actually accomplish your goals, right? Like, so I have a desire, maybe it's an aesthetic desire, to create these 4-star games. And I believe I'm actually reducing my chances of finding 4-star games if I'm okay with designing 3-star games. That was kind of part of my point. Like I don't think it's this simple. I don't know the best way to characterize it, but I feel like if you pull your bar lower, like it was this. We talked about this thing where it felt to me like, well, not just maybe just some hypothetical designers. They think, well, you just shoot for this bar. And just naturally, yeah, if you design like 100 games in your life, some of them are going to spike way up, And I'm actually a bit skeptical about that. I think that you don't spike very far up above the bar that you set for yourself. That's my impression of how game design works, because I don't know that it's as spiky as that. I think it's like this really gut-wrenching. Like it's so hard to make even little increment, like. Designing a game like Blockers or something, it's like, it's like the changes that I'm making. It's this very abstract game, right? Like, I don't think I'm just going to make one tweak that suddenly shoots it up. shoots it like way up above the bar that I set. There's some bar that says, here's where I'm going to stop designing this game and say, okay, now I think it's done, right? And I think if your bar is this low, you're just going to end up stopping, when it spikes a little bit above that bar. That's my thing. I don't know if I can flesh this out more. So I just have this feeling like if I could design 100 3-star games in my life and never design another 4-star one unless if I don't set my bar that high, Does that make sense? So do you have counter arguments? Do you think that it's
yeah,
is that sensible?
No. This isn't about me. It's all about you, Kory.
Well, no, it's still. I agree. I agree.
Yes, it's sensible.
I agree, but you could disagree. You can agree or disagree with
that
me.
Leads me and I'm still wrong. Yeah,
Right.
No, but what it leads me to wonder then is, do you then assume that not all designers have this either desire or compulsion or requirement that they must aim at 4-star?
Yeah. Uh-oh, I lost you. Technical difficulties, everyone. Just when it was getting good. Let's see.